Howdy, Fi Guys listeners. Welcome back to another podcast. Today on Fi Friday Feedback, we're going to be doing a recap on Monday's episode where Chris mentored I wouldn't say a student, but what would you say? What would you call it, Chris? It's just like a live mentor call, or how would you
Yeah, a
describe it?
live. I would call it a coaching call. So a live coaching call. I mean, we met such a kind young man who's only 18 years old and already on the path to financial independence, or at least trying to get on the right path to financial independence. Because one thing that I realized in the conversations that he realizes that there's a lot of bad information out there, and he wants to see like what is the right thing. What should I actually focus my time and my attention on? He's going to be going into the army here. At time of recording in the next like 2 weeks. So
Mhm.
from what he's seen and from what I've seen growing up, he was grew up in San Diego as well. From that military mentality, he got to see a lot of Army and Navy guys. You see somebody come in and they finally get their bonus for signing into the military, and the first thing to do is they go blow it on a nice new car.
Yep.
So there's a
Your
lot of people that'll
Camaro.
look at that and be like, "Wow, you must be getting paid so much money. You have this brand new Camaro." But in order for them to have that big Camaro, there's also probably a huge amount of debt behind that.
Yeah. And I don't want to pry too much into the backstory, but I remember you telling me that a lot of like when you were growing up, you said you used to grow up on military bases and you'd see a lot of these nice cars and you'd see, your dad was a pretty high ranking official and you see these new guys, these new recruits with nice cars and be like, oh, they're so wealthy. Why don't we have a brand new car, And so you saw a lot of that growing up.
Yeah, yeah, and don't feel free to pry as much as you want. Like that's the point of the conversation, right? I mean, I
Mhm.
think there's a lot of people, especially in finance, that are afraid to share that. I'm a normal person too, and I think that's something my clients really appreciate is that when I'm telling you, hey, you have to do these things financially. Guess what? I'm dealing with the same things. Like we all struggle with these things. No one ever gets there. But yeah, to your point, growing up, I would see my dad's people that worked for him, as his soldiers, and he was their commanding officer, and again, it would kind of be we would compare our insides because I knew the financial struggles, or not greatly for my parents, but I knew what was kind of going on. I knew that we didn't have a bunch of money to go blow all this money, but then I would see these young guys coming right out of basic and going buying a brand new Camaro or a brand new Ford Mustang or whatever it is, and you sit there and you watch that and you're like, man, I don't get it. I don't know how they're doing it. And I found even when talking with Dylan on Monday, he was asking the same thing, like how are they doing that? And I kind of
Mhm.
broke it down to them and said, well, not very well. Like it's you
Yeah.
know
Yeah. Not a
they're
great decision. Not a great
yeah
decision.
they're really living on the edge, especially because I went ahead and I pulled up because it's public record exactly what you're going to be getting paid if you're an enlisted one, enlisted two, enlisted.
Mhm.
It's all public record. You can go and find it because it's a state job and or a government job, and I showed him exactly what he was going to be making. For him, he's going to be a E3 in the Army, which was $28,000. It will actually be his salary. We
Mhm.
minus taxes out of that. Let's just say $24,000, $22,000 is what he's actually bringing home. If you go and buy a car that's $40,000, for the next 2 years, every single dollar that you're making is going to paying off that car.
Yeah. If you're
And
not
who are
paying
we?
taxes, not eating or drinking or spending a single dime on anything
Yeah,
in this entire world.
yeah, not even
Uh,
insuring the vehicle, and how are you going to
no,
pay for gas?
no,
Like,
no. It's just the math isn't mathing. It
yeah,
doesn't make sense. No matter how big that bonus is, it doesn't make sense.
yeah, and I think it's scary, right? Because there's a lot of people that you know most people don't even know how much money they make a month. Like that, I think
Yeah.
that's pretty basic. You got to know how much you make a month. But let's say let's give someone the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they don't know what they're spending, but let's say they know what they're making. General soldier, they're making $24,000 a year. So what? They're making $2,000 a month, $1,000 each paycheck. Well,
Hmm.
they go out and they look to buy that new car, and then most people they're not looking at the sticker price. They're looking at the monthly payment. So let's say you get a really good vehicle, really good down payment, or not even a good down payment, but let's say $500. I think the average car payment right now is like $700. But let's say this
Oh,
so I know, right? Ridiculous. But
holy.
let's say this soldier does really, really well. He gets a $500 monthly payment. He's like, I make $2,000, $500 is going to be easy. That's only 25% of my income.
Hmm.
Well, what he didn't count in is let's say he doesn't want to live in the barracks. So he has a rental studio that he's renting from somebody. And let's say he's paying $1,000 a month. Well,
Yep.
now that car costs 50% of your take home income because you already know the 50% is taken care of. Then he has to eat. So let's give him benefit of the doubt $200 a month in food. He has to pay for insurance, call that $100 a month. He has to pay for gas. We'll call that another $100 a month. Well, he wants to go out and eat with his friends or take a girl out for dinner. We'll call that another $100. Well, now that vehicle that you just got for $500, now you're eating negative $100 every month just to survive and pay for the vehicle. So
Yeah.
don't look at the sticker price or the monthly payment. Look at all the costs you have and then apply it. Because then once you see that, hey, $1,000 is already going towards my rent, I have all these other fixed costs, that $500 is going to eat up everything else. Or it's going to put me into the black every single month or the red every single month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like the numbers you were giving, like those are like the dirtiest of the dirt cheap, like 100 for insurance, 100 for going out on a date. Like, it's like, I mean, you're talking like an 18-year-old guy, new car. I'm just going to assume it's like a Camaro. It's a muscle car, right?
Always.
And they're going to drive it reckless because they're 18, they're in the military, and they're driving a Camaro. If the insurance is they're not stupid, so they're going to jack up the rates a lot. And yeah, I don't know of any date that I've been on. If I had a girlfriend and it was $100 for the month on dates, I might go on maybe 2 dates, maybe 2.
Yeah. Take her out. You get anything you want on the dollar menu, baby.
Yeah. It's a question. How many dates do you want? We can have 1 date at a fancy restaurant. We can have 6 or 7 at McDonald's. We'll see. But yeah, no, I mean that like we talk about on the podcast all the time. Lifestyle inflation, right? It eats you alive. It really eats you alive. And also the perceived notion that you should be somewhere else in life. You should be further, so you put yourself in a worse off position than what your cards are actually dealt, right? If I'm playing blackjack and the dealer's showing a 10 and I've got, terrible cards and I put all my money on the table, it's like, well, is that a smart move? It's like, probably not, because that face card, when they flip it over, it's probably going to be another 10. You're going to get 20 and it's not going to work, right? You got to play with the cards you're dealt, not with the cards you think you should have been dealt.
Yep. But it's really difficult, right? Especially for young people. And, I'll give this to Dylan. Like after our conversation, I am hopefully optimistic that he's going to do very well in life. Had I had even the wherewithal to even ask the question, what can I do to be better at finances? And at no point during our conversation, I really did expect him to come in and be like, Chris, what's the secret? Like, what should I invest in tomorrow? What cryptocurrency? What this, what that? He didn't ask that question at all.
That's next week's pod, right?
Yeah, that's next week's pod. I'll teach you guys that. If you stick around, I'll teach you the secret. But he realized that there was no secret, and I think the funniest question he asked was, how can I buy a house in a few years? And we walked through the housing prices and what that's going to mean for him. And, I know he had a very big aversion to renting. He's like, well, renting, if I'm renting, that's basically throwing my money away. So we went deeper into that conversation to see like, where do those thoughts come from? Where are those beliefs coming from? And, are they serving you now? Because, you're going to be going to the military, be making $28,000 a year. What house are you going to buy that the mortgage is going to be 50% of that, so you can have a little bit of extra? Or shit, I mean, even if $28,000, you're putting $2,000 a month to a mortgage. What kind of house are you buying for $2,000 a month in mortgage?
Yeah.
Is that a place that you want to live?
Yeah, and you're not going to qualify for it either.
He would, because he would have the VA loan. And
so you'd have a VA loan. So are they more lenient with that, or how does that work?
Yeah, 0% interest down, and then, but if you're putting 0% interest down and you're still going to pay it off over 30 months, that means your monthly payment's going to be higher.
Or 30 years, yeah.
Yeah, over 30 years, your monthly payment's going to be higher.
30 months? Holy crap. You're going to become real fast in monthly payments, dude. Imagine, what would that even, holy 30 months, dude. I was ambitious. No, yeah, like, okay, well, the VA loan, that would definitely help. So that's good. That's good that he's thinking about that.
Well, he wasn't. He didn't know that he was even be eligible for that. So I told him that, like, you could be eligible for that, and even if you did with the 20% down, any of that kind of stuff, but still, you're still going to be in the same situation of how far can my money take me? And while it's fun to sit there and say like, oh, I'll make up these many side hustles and all this other stuff, first and foremost, before you start creating all these side hustles and all these passive income, you need to have one source of income that is good. Yeah. If you suck at your job and you're like, your job is unstable because you're like, who cares about this job? I'm working on my side hustles. Your job is what allows you to be able to do these side hustles on the side and try to make passive income, because majority of the time, the people who try to make passive income, they fail.
Yeah, it's not easy. Like, people act like the side hustle is like super easy. It's like, you can sell stuff and it'll work, but it's not going to be as not sustainable, but like continuous. You know, it
Yeah.
takes a lot of work to become profitable in a side hustle and a lot of work to stay profitable.
Yep.
You know, anybody can get lucky. And I think that's the problem with it. It's like people are getting lucky and then they're selling people a dream, you know?
Yeah, and that's what most people do, right? And
Hmm.
it's far more lucrative to focus on your normal job and then have that job be the thing that pays off the bills, and then you pursue this passion on the side. Because what's the scariest thing is you burn the boats, you leave the job, and now you're putting all your eggs into this side hustle basket or into this entrepreneurial basket. At that point, it needs to work out. Like there is no other option than it needs to work out, and that makes it a lot more scary, and it takes the joy out of the pursuit of of creating your own thing. You're trying
Yeah.
to create your own company. It's actually really fun if you know that if I don't figure it out, I still get to eat tonight. I still have a roof over my house.
Yeah,
So that's why I think
definitely.
like focusing
Definitely.
on the job, being good at the job, and then adding these things on is better and better. There's this old adage that I think it's the average millionaire has 6 or 7 sources of income.
Hmm.
So when people hear that, they go, okay, cool. In order for me to be a millionaire, I need to have 6 or 7 sources of income. I need to do that today. What they don't first assume, though, is that statement, the average millionaire, first off, that's a person in their 50s. That's someone
Yeah.
who has had over 30 years of accumulating wealth. Another thing is, so when they talk about 7 sources of income, they have their job. Maybe they have a rental property. There's 2. They have a 401k. There's 3. Then they have their spouse's income. They have their spouse's 1k. There's 5 right there. The other 2 could be 2 other side hustles. It could be whatever. But that doesn't mean that that person has 7 other businesses that are running around. They're not focusing on their job. Yeah, passive income is passive income. That could honestly just be putting into the market and doing absolutely nothing and then spending the rest of your day enjoying your life.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like if you ask the average millionaire, they were laser focused on one task.
Mhm.
They weren't split between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different companies, right? The average millionaire is not, no, I mean, they're just humans, right? They have trouble focusing just like us sometimes. You know, they have trouble with things sometimes, but they figure it out, right? But I think it's way better. You're gonna get to millionaire status a lot faster. I think if you focus on one thing, granted, it has to be the right thing. You know, if I devoted all my time to, you know, selling lemonade, I might not get to that millionaire status. But if I focused 100% on my, consulting job, then yeah, maybe I can get there, but it's all about context and
Mhm.
focus, right? In that
Yeah.
regard. So you had a great chat with Dylan. He came in strong. I love to hear that. I love seeing a young person. I'm like love seeing a young whippersnapper with a good head on his shoulders. And I know he talked a little bit about how college just wasn't really for him. He didn't really want to go that route. He was thinking about going into the SEALs, correct?
Yeah, that's what he said. He said he was thinking about the SEALs at first, but then he realized that's not really going to be conducive to his lifestyle. And
I feel like
uh,
every boy wanted to go that bad. You know what I mean? I'm like, and then you watch like, these different movies about it. You watch like Hell Week on YouTube, and I'm like, I don't know. It might not be for me. Chris, I think Chris could pull. I think Chris could make it.
I don't think
Um,
so.
you
But
could, dude.
thank you for your belief in me. But no,
I
I definitely
believe.
couldn't.
I'm Team Chris over here. Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool that he decided what he wanted to do. He's going into the military, and there's a lot of great benefits. I mean, going with the military, absolutely. So
Yeah, and one thing I liked about it when we talked about like why are you going to the military, just that he wanted something different, and like he's doing something not because it's the right thing to do, not because society told him to do it. It's because that's what he wants for his life. He wants to travel the world. He wants to go and see more. He wants to get away from what he's known his whole life and try something new. And the military is, I mean, it's definitely going to give him something new. And he also is not someone who's saying like, I'm going to do 22 years. I'm going to go there with the pension. He's saying,
yeah.
I'm going to dedicate myself for 3 years.
Hmm.
After 3 years, I don't know where I'm going to be, but I'm going to make that decision when I get there. And that gives me a lot of hope is that he's not saying like, this is my plan and I'm sticking to it no matter what, no matter how much I hate it. This is what I'm doing. He's saying, this is where I am right now. I'm going to dedicate this many years to it. We're going to go. And that's the way I think that that's the best way you can do it because you don't want to quit too early, right? That's what I did with my business. When I launched it, I said, I'm going to give it a year, one
Hmm.
year, and we'll see. No matter hell or high water, I'm going to stick with it for a year. After that year, I can make a decision. And then, get to a year, and then I make another decision. It's the same thing I would do when I was working W-2 jobs. I'm going to give them 6 months. We're going to see how this job goes for 6 months. After 6 months, I'll go ahead and revamp it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I almost like the way that he was putting it. Like, it's almost like nomadic. It's like, he's like, I don't know what I want to do like down like 20 years down the line. I don't know. But right now, this is what I want to do. And in 3 years, when the contract's up and, I want to choose something else, we'll decide then. I'm like, I like that. I like it adds a bit of like spontaneity to life. It's like, I don't know what's around the corner, but you're facing it with a smile and a great attitude, and it can only go good. Usually, it can 99% is going to go well. Most of life is just how you react to it. So I'm excited for him. I'm excited. Hopefully,
I thought it was good.
Oh, go for it. You go for it.
I thought it was interesting because he said he could have gone in and like signed a 5-year contract,
Mhm.
or he said he could have done the 3-year contract, but he knew that after the 3 years he'd be up for a re-signing bonus. So he did the calculation and said, "Well, I dedicate for a shorter amount of time, and I'm eligible now for a re-sign bonus, rather than just dedicating for 5 years, not getting a bonus, not getting anything." So I thought that was very intelligent of him to see that and be like, it's all upside if I do the shorter amount of time.
Yeah.
Because I have the option to stay in it longer if I want, and I have the potential to get a bonus if I decide to re-up in blank number of years.
That's awesome. How long would the re-up term be? Would that be like another 3 years, or would it be longer?
That would depend on the contract. Probably 2 years is what is just off the top of my head, but I have no idea.
2 years is not bad.
Yeah, I mean, he ends up in the same position.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Go for it.
I think one thing that I think was the most interesting, and that's what I always find on most of my coaching calls, is every time I ask somebody, like, what did your parents teach you about money? And that's the first thing I asked him. Like, what did your parents teach you about money? And, his answer was the same as 99% of other people's answers. Nothing. They taught me nothing about money. And then I went, okay, well, a lot of people think that. So let's dive a little bit deeper. And I asked him, like, what did you remember about your dad telling you about money? What did you tell you about your mom telling you about money? And what did he learn from his dad? Because they grew up with financial struggles. And he said, what I learned from my father was the way they got out of their financial struggles is their dad just worked harder. He was working 2 jobs, working. I think he said his dad worked from like 6 a.m. to like 7 p.m. every day.
Brutal.
And that's how they're able to get out of, financial difficulties. And he did that for a number of years. And what Dylan learned from that was, if I'm not succeeding, it's because I'm not trying hard enough. And I think that that's a good thing to learn. That's a good thing, but that's also a double-edged sword, because you could be banging your head against the wall all day long and you might not be succeeding. So maybe you need to say, maybe banging my head against the wall isn't the right thing for me. Maybe I need to try something else. So maybe rather than the father focusing on bringing in more money, they could have focused on, how can we reduce our expenses? What can we do so that I don't have to work 2 jobs? Everyone's different on what they choose to do. For me in my life, I would never choose to not be with my kids so I can work 2 jobs so I can support them. But that's me. And if someone else hears that and says that's crazy, that's fine. That's your opinion.
Yeah.
Everyone's a little bit different there.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks when I want to say you get put in that situation, but also you put yourself in that situation. Yeah. And a lot of times it's from lack of knowledge, lack of understanding of decisions. Like a lot of the enlisted men who get the signing bonus, they go and buy a big car, a nice expensive car. And they think they got a good deal because they got their payment for $499, right? It's a lack of knowledge and a lack of foresight. Understand that, okay, well, this car, it's 72 months, 60 months, it's quite a long time, right? And I'm going to be stuck paying this for a long time, and I'm not going to have a lot of money left over. And obviously, like we say it all the time, money's not everything. Money's not everything. Obviously, Chris likes a nice clean car. I like a car too, but not at the risk of stress and anxiety and just financial misdoing. It's more important to make great, sound financial decisions for today, because we're trying to live for today, but also to live for tomorrow and the next day after that. And it kind of breaks my heart a little bit, because it's like, I just hearing he worked 2 jobs, he's 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. and gets home just tired, so tired, no time to spend with the family, no barbecues on Sunday. It's like, that's heartbreaking because it's like, that's like not, honestly, it's one of my worst nightmares. One of my worst fears is just like not being able to be there for the person that I created, you know?
Mhm.
Um, that's why that's part of the reason why we start the podcast, is to educate people and make sure that they don't put themselves in financial ruin, because, one bad mistake can put you away for a very long time.
Yeah. And I don't blame people for their financial issues, the things that they did wrong. What I do get frustrated with is when I tell you, "Hey, this is the reason you find yourself in this situation," and they're
Mhm.
like, "No, that can't be it." And I call those people like, or people that are often like that are like the dreamers. Like, I'll figure it all out. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I'll take out this car payment. I'll buy the house that I can't afford, and I will figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you will figure it out, but you're setting yourself for a lot of stress if you don't. Like, a lot of stress. And that's where I think people start to get into like weird conspiracies of like, oh, the world's out to control everything, and like everything's against me. Like, the world is against me, only me. And I think a lot of people do that because the world is really complex. And the scariest thing maybe sometimes to say is that there is no one pulling the strings. It's all just random. And you being in the middle of that randomness is terrifying to think about. And so you say, like, oh, I can't be in control. Other people are in control of me. But the most empowering thing to come to the conclusion of is that I am fully in control of my life. Even if in actuality you are not. Having the mindset that I am in control at least gives you that false sense of security that I can change my outcome. And whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right.
Mhm.
If you believe you can fix your situation, you're going to look for ways to fix it. But if you believe you cannot fix your situations, you're not going to look for ways to fix it. You're going to stay in it forever. So
Yeah.
when it comes to Dylan, like I'm hopefully optimistic, and the biggest fear that I have for him right now is, and we say this a lot, that you are the aggregate of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and him going into the military is going to be going in with a lot of people who are going to be blowing their money right off the
Mm.
bat. And there's really nothing anyone can do to, nothing that I can do, nothing you can do, nothing anyone can do to tell him like, hey, don't spend your money, save all the future, especially if the people he's hanging out with makes it the norm. Whoever you spend the most time with, that becomes your new normal. And if
Yep.
your new normal are people that are going out every weekend, just blowing all their money, buying a new car, buying new handbags, buying all that stuff, you just set that up that's normal for you. So it's tough.
It's tough. It's definitely tough, peer pressure as a 18-year-old, first on his own. Sorry. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
You did? Okay. Here. Dude, it's a wacky house over here. It's a wacky. I heard a snap over there. I got a thumbs up on the screen. It's a wacky house over here. Anyway, if you guys didn't know what I was talking about, don't regard it. Don't worry about it if you're just listening. Yeah, no, I mean, it's a very impressionable time in his life. 18, surrounded by
Mhm.
other 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, even maybe even a little older. They're gonna be 18-year-olds, and I assume most of them are gonna be men, or boys, or of the male gender. I don't know how you want to classify them. Kind of rowdy, I would assume. I've never been in the military, but I have friends that have been in it and all that stuff, and they're all very similar. They're great,
Mhm.
great, the best of us. The great ones. But the downfall is the dominoes falling when one gets a nice new vehicle, shows it off. Well, then there goes that male ego that if you've never dealt with it as a young man, it comes up. It comes up hard
Mhm.
and it's like, oh yeah, hey, check out this new ride. It's 0 to 60 in X amount of time. All this, and well, I should get one too. Try and compete, keep up with the Joneses, and it's just like I feel like the ancestors are just looking down and be like, well, and yet the cycle repeats,
Yep.
because I guarantee it's the same thing your parents did and the parents before them. It's just trying to act like they had more than they did, which put them in a bad financial situation, which then led to, those 12-hour work weeks for years on end. And um, it's much better just to suffer upfront and make the choice to suffer rather than having to be forced to suffer. And what I mean by
Yeah.
that is, rather than getting the new car, rather than, I just got this big bonus. I finally made a good decision. Let me go save it for the future. Let me go invest it. let me grow it so I can buy a house one day, so I can have investments possibly, and do all these wonderful things. It's like if you choose to suffer now and not take that investment and go and blow it, or not go out every night and stay in and cook, and and just kind of live conservatively. I'm not saying for your whole life. Obviously, there is a period in your life where you should ball out, right? I just don't think it should be when you are at your dumbest point of your life, which is when you're in your teens and your 20s, right? Hopefully, that's your dumbest point in life. Hopefully, you're not 60 and you're just an idiot. And you're just like, I'm just gonna send it.
I still haven't figured it out. I don't know what's going wrong.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, Chris. I don't know.
I keep doing the same thing. I keep getting the same result. I don't get it.
I don't get it. Am I insane? Is this insanity? I don't know. So yeah, I have hope for him. I have hope for him, but I hope he remembers this conversation when because somebody in that barracks is going to get a Camaro. You know it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. And the way I always put it is, there's an old Jocko quote that I love, and it's hard choice, easy life. Mm-hmm. Easy choice, hard life. Yep. So when you just made a big bonus, you made $50,000. What's the easy choice? The easy choice is to go out, party, and blow all of it. That's the fun choice. It sounds so much better to me right now to go and do that. That's going to set me up for a harder life in the future. But if I make the hard choice today, hey, I'm going to take 10% of that money, that $50,000, I'm going to go have fun with it. But the other 50%, I'm going to save that for my future. Yeah, that's a harder choice for me. And I think something that we need to do is we need to start to learn to love our future self. Too often do we sacrifice momentary joy right now with the knowledge of like future Chris, future Dom, that guy's got it. And you're basically like giving yourself 2 middle fingers to future you, saying like, I'm going to put myself in this debt. I'm going to do all this stuff because future you better figure it out. Because I don't have to worry about that right now. Present me doesn't have to worry about that. I get the car. I get the nice dinner. I get whatever I want. That's amazing. And all I had to do is put it on credit. Yeah. Well, credit's just a fancy word for debt. And if you put fancy word for debt, that means that future you has to deal with that debt that past you dealt with. So picture yourself 20, 30, 40 years. You want to look back on your decisions right now and say, thank you so much for setting me up past Dom. Thank you so much for setting me up past whatever the hell your name is. Or do you want to look back at yourself 20, 30 years ago when you were 20 years old and say, you fucking idiot. Like now I'm in this situation because of the dumb things you did. And the funny thing is it's you. Yeah. Like it's you the entire way through.
Yeah. And I don't want you guys to think that, I'll speak for myself here, that we're perfect, right? No. We live with regret every day. And I think that's what we're trying to teach you is make the choices now so you don't have to feel that regret. I can think of 10 things right now and be like, damn, I don't know why I didn't XYZ. I'd be in such a better position right now. Or blah, 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 And it sucks because there's nothing I can do to change it. Right? Yep. I can only live the best way I can today for that tomorrow, Dom.
And what you can do is learn. You can learn from it. Hey, I screwed up.
You better.
And you learn from it and you move forward so that next time you encounter that something similar to that, you're like, hey, I remember I did something like this and I regretted it. Maybe this time I should try something different. And you might still screw up. You still might be wrong. But now you just found 2 ways that don't work. It's the same way with that Thomas Edison quote, right? He was trying to create the light bulb and he made his 1,000th attempt and he failed. And his assistant went, oh, Thomas, I'm so sorry. Like you failed. He's like, no, this is great. I just found 1,000 ways of how not to make a light bulb.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, life is how you frame it. Mm-hmm. It really is. If you can learn to shift your perspective on how you view things that happen in your world and happen to you, that's equal to like Superman, honestly. It really is. It really is. I can't think of
that's the whole Stoic philosophy, right? You can't control what happens to you. All you can do is control your outcome to it. There's another story about Benjamin Franklin. He was an inventor by trade, and one day his workshop went up in flames. I don't know what they were doing, what they were trying to work on, but went up in flames. All of his life's work was inside this workshop, going up in flames. And his son's sitting there, and Thomas turns to his son and says, go get your mother because you're never going to see a fire like this again. which is just that reframe, right? Of, oh my God, my life's work is all ending. Or you can enjoy the moment of like, wow, what a beautiful fire. Like,
Get the
of course this
marshmallows.
sucks. Yeah, get the marshmallows out. Like, we should at
Yeah.
least try to enjoy this because there's nothing I can do about it. It's happening.
Ben
But
Franklin,
luckily,
the father of the fire department. Big shout
the
out.
father of the fire department and the bifocal.
Yeah.
And he discovered
and
that.
the printing press? Or am I off on? I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know.
He had a printing press. I don't know. Very interesting guy though.
He did a bunch of stuff.
It's so interesting because like he was never a president. He was never a cabinet member. He's just a guy that was just like around. And I was just like, it's kind of interesting.
He's a guy who's just the guy that like everyone went to, like that all of our founding fathers went to as like for someone who like gave sage wisdom and advice. You know, that's why he's on the $100 bill. Most people do think he was a president at some point, but like, no, he wasn't. He was just a guy that kept on trying, kept on failing forward. He kept on failing at stuff and trying to figure stuff out. Do you know that Benjamin Franklin wanted the American bird to be a turkey?
Turkey? Yeah. That's wild.
Thank God that didn't make it,
dude. It'd be kind of funny though. It'd be really funny. Like, just gobble gobble gobble. It's like, but then how would it work for Thanksgiving? We can't just kill our national bird.
I don't know. Maybe at that point we'd be eating bald eagles. Thank goodness that's the way the history didn't unfold. So we're just gonna be happy with the way the history did fold.
Good Lord. Good Lord.
I think the biggest thing that we did a takeaway, and actually we actually do have a takeaway from Dylan, which we should play. Right now.
Here are my key takeaways for this podcast. The main one, or I got three main ones. One of the main ones was compound interest. I didn't really know exactly what it was until this video. It's basically how he described it to me was your money making money from itself, basically. Like you put in, let's say $1,000, you get 10%, it's $100, and then the next year, and then the next year, and the next year, and like compounds. The second one was patience. The main thing in the main goal for building wealth in order to retire is patience and just trusting, not looking at the stock market every day or every second, freaking out about it. Just straight patience and, continue to put in that money and watch how he described it in this video. 7,000 every year for I forget, 40 something years. That was at 9% interest, $4 million plus. That's pretty insane. That I did not know was possible. There's a lot of information that these guys have that a lot of people can benefit from. And if you just watch the videos and put in the effort of just learning, there's a lot of information and value in what these guys do. I like to thank the Five Guys and Chris for everything that he's taught me in this time. And yeah, thank you. And yeah.
So, I mean, that's Dylan's takeaways. Based off what he's called in and told us that his big takeaways are, I'm super helpful. I think the biggest thing that he learned was that there are no secrets. The secret to being financially well off is that there are no secrets. There is no quick path. It's going to take time. It's going to take effort. It's going to take dedication. And the more times that you go out seeking those quick little dopamine hits, those quick little things, the worse it's going to set you up for. I mean, he said it right there. He said that the biggest thing he took away was the power of compound interest, that there is no quick fix, but you put $7,000 away for the next, I don't remember, 46 or 47 years. Well, he's going to retire at 65 with $4 million in the bank. He's going to retire a multimillionaire from $7,000 plus time, because the way that you grow money, there's a bunch of different ways, but when it comes to investments, it's how much money you put in, the rate at which you're compounding, and time. How much money you can put in, that is completely in your control, given that you focus on how much money you're making, how much money you're spending. The rate of return at which you're going to get, I don't think is fully in your control. You can try to maximize that, but anyone who says like, oh, I can compound at 20% a year, 100% per year, BS. But the thing that Dylan has is he has time. He has that amazing factor of time. It's the same thing that made Warren Buffett one of the wealthiest men in business. His rate of return is not that dissimilar to the S&P 500. It's a little bit better. It is. I won't give that away. He's probably inching out an average rated compound of like 12, 13%, where the S&P is 9, 10. But he's not going for 20, 30%. But what he does have is nearly 100 years of investing.
Mm-hmm.
Just in that one man, 100 years of focusing on the right thing, focusing on finding good companies at fair value, and then focusing on not spending all of the money, not leveraging himself with debt, not putting himself into a bad financial situation. And that's what allows him to continue to compound money year after year after year. It's not about winning the game right now. It's about staying in the game long enough to win.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So with that, Dylan, we wish you the best of luck, man. Please stay in touch with the Five Guys. That was a great coaching call. I was very glad to have him on there. And now you guys got to see what it's like to actually do a coaching call with a financial advisor. I think the biggest thing I tried to take away is that I'm not the hero of Dylan's story. And I think a lot of advisors, they come in and they try to tell their prospects or their clients, like, I'm going to be the hero of your story. You don't worry about saving. You don't worry about making money. You just give me your money and you're going to get your retirement. You're going to be happy. Those retirement, the rate at which you compound money, that's 20, maybe 33% of the equation. If I leave out the other 80% of the equation, which is you focusing on your habits, there is no amount of money that I can do, nothing I can do to compound your money at fast enough rates to fix bad financial habits. And even if I did, even if by some godly miracle, you never saved for money, but I was able to get this great return that by the time you retire, you were multimillionaires. If you never fix those habits in your younger years and now you're 60 years old and I gave you millions of dollars, you never figured anything out, you're going to blow those millions of dollars pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
So what's more important, getting an amazing rate of return where I'm compounding money at 20, 30%, or making sure that when you reach retirement, you're going to go all the way to your death and never have to worry about running out of money? What's the win here? Is winning getting a great return, or was winning retiring happy?
Exactly.
So
I'm going.
Good luck, Dylan.
I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm team happy too.
Always.
Good luck, Dylan. We're here for you, man. If you have anything, you have my number. And if you guys ever want to be on a coaching call with me, you can always reach out to chris@monzonwealth.com. Maybe I usually charge for that. For Dylan, I did him a special offer where I brought him on the podcast so that we could use him in order to hopefully teach other people. I think the other big thing that I want to talk about, that I really try to get through with Dylan, is always look at other people's incentives. What are their incentives? And I told him a lot of that for investing. What are the incentives that someone's trying to get out of you? Are they trying to sell you something, trying to do something? And I told him, even me, what's my incentive, Dylan, for bringing you on this podcast? It's to use you to get more information out there. And that information ultimately drives people to my business. It ultimately helps people, which is my main goal in life. Is there's a lot of time that I put into learning about finances and learning what are the key concepts. And I focus a lot of time on finding the secrets. And it took all that time of looking for those secrets to realize there are no secrets. And it's try to bring that back and try to teach people that there are no secrets. So the longer that you focus on finding those secrets, the more time you're delaying actually living a good life.
Absolutely. With that being said, we're going to get on to viewer mailbag. Friday feedback, viewer mailbag time, maybe one of my favorite times of the week. I look forward to this every Friday. So let's get right into it. The header for today's viewer mailbag: should I take out my 401k or deal with it? How can I use my retirement funds to change my life today? A bit of a doozy on this one. I like this one. I love a good doozy. If you guys want to send in your viewer mailbags, feel free. Like Chris was saying, you can go to thefiveguys.com. You can send it in there. You can email us at the Five Guys Video Podcast as well if you guys want to be featured on Five Friday Feedback, viewer mailbag. And the juicier the better, because I love a good juicy story. Anyway, howdy Chris. Howdy Dom. Howdy. I am a 29-year-old woman. Congratulations. I have been working in a factory for the past decade, often putting in 10 to 14-hour days, 6 to 7 days a week. Not tamales.
That's not sustainable.
Not sustainable. Not sustainable. During this time, I've dedicated myself to supporting my family with their debts, helping them get back on their feet, and covering medical expenses. What a nice human. As the main breadwinner, I struggle to make ends meet, and I still have my own heavy debt to pay off. No, I'm sorry. She said, I struggled to make ends meet until recently when I finally paid off my own heavy $10,000 debt. Well, congratulations on paying the debt off.
That's
Good.
awesome. Great
Yes.
job. But working 10 to 14 hour days, 6 to 7 days a week, that's going to be really tough. This person's only 29 years old. And they're also paying off their family's debt. Like,
that's a lot of weight on the shoulders.
That's a lot of weight on the shoulders for someone so young. And they said they've been working at the factory for the past decade. That means they started when they were probably 18 or 19 years old. And my guess is the entire last decade, since the time they're 18 or 19, they were the main breadwinner supporting their family.
Yeah, that's commendable.
It's going to be tough.
But it's
commendable. It's going to be very tough.
Yeah, that's heavy. My social life is minimal. My closest companion is my mom. That's cute. The demand, I always love hearing this. It's so cute. Okay, so back to serious, Dom. The demand for work has left me a little time for dating or pursuing hobbies. Due to the strain from my job, I now rely on a back brace and daily painkillers. Lately, the stress has been affecting my ability to wake up for work, and I've been considering withdrawing the whole $30,000 balance from my 401k to potentially move out on my own and simply live a more fulfilled life. I've never taken vacation or traveled anywhere really, and I yearn for a fresh start. Despite my love for family and financial constraints tightening, and my mental taking a toll on my job, it's becoming quite overwhelming. Although my factory job pays $17 an hour, significantly more than any other local job, it leaves me exhausted with very little time for my Etsy business, selling stickers, charms, and my YouTube channel with 12,000 subscribers. First off,
YouTube channel with 12,000 subscribers. What the fuck?
Chris is like, damn, what the heck, man? Congratulations on the 12,000 subscribers. Congratulations on the small business. We love a good small business. We love the Etsy shop. We love that. We love a good side hustle. I'm not calling your stuff a side hustle, but hopefully you can make it into a main hustle. Let me
it does concern me though that they have this side business that they're creating when they're working 10 to 14 hours a day.
Yeah, it's like
6 to 7 days a week. Like,
at
what time are they doing this? Don't get me wrong. If she loves making the charm, she loves doing the YouTube videos, and that's like she would do that regardless of the money coming in. I'm not telling you not to do it, but I do get concerned when I hear that like she's dedicating 10 to 14 hours a day. The rest of the time should be dedicated to sleeping. What time are we doing a YouTube channel with?
We need 8 hours.
Yeah,
and for females, it's a little bit more, right?
Sure.
Also, we're just gonna scrape right over the painkiller thing and not being able to work. That's
a worry.
Yeah, that's more than a worry. I mean, you want to talk about future medical expenses. I mean, that's going to be a problem down the line. Like we talked about,
Huge.
Earlier in the podcast, you got to do what's best for yourself down the line as well, not just for today. So yeah, let me keep reading. I'm contemplating using the 401k funds to pay the bills and take a year off from work to focus on my online venture full time. This break could potentially kickstart my new career path. However, I'm uncertain. And if I can endure my current job much longer, I'm not sure if I can endure my current job much longer, both mentally and physically. Any advice on whether withdrawing from my 401k to pursue my change of lifestyle or career is wise? Should I stick it out for a few more years and pray it gets better? Thank you. Wowzers. From factory days to creative ways, I'm ready for my 401k to unlock life's new phase. Boy, that's a doozy. That's a doozy.
That's a lot.
Okay, nothing to worry about though. 5 guys are here to help.
We're gonna fix everything. We're the heroes of your story. No. Okay, so safer. So let's say that first off, I'm just gonna answer your question. Should I take the 401k out? No, you should not take the 401k out, because even if you do take the 401k out, you're 29 years old. You're gonna hit with a 10% penalty. So now we're already taking $3,000 off. And then it's going to get added to your highest marginal tax bracket. Let's figure that out real quick. You said you make $17 an hour. I'm going to be generous and say you only work 10 hours a day, not 14. And let's also say you're only working 6 days a week, not 7, which is equal to $10,020 before taxes or any deductions. That's a week. So if you parse that out, a year you're making $53,000 because
Or
10
1,020 a week.
1,020 times 52
Yeah.
weeks, you're making $53,000.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and take out taxes. And I know most people go, oh, well, you always use low tax bracket states. So let's do California. California, highest tax bracket state. Now you're making $42,000. Right now, you're already struggling to make ends meet on $42,000 a year after taxes. If you take out $33,000, if you take out $30,000, we take off a 10% haircut, that takes you to $27,000. And now we have to pay taxes on that $27,000 as well. Again, let's say we're back in California. That gives you what, $23,000 to live off of? If you can barely make it with $42,000, I see no way in hell you're going to be making it on $23,000.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be extremely difficult. Do you know how much money you spend a month? Because while I'm saying that, $4,000 a month after taxes may not be a lot, depending on what part of the country you're in, I'm curious as to what it is that you're dedicating your time to. Like, how is this all working out? Because if you're working 10 hours a day, I'm assuming there's 2 hours of overtime minimum every day. So you're probably making far more than my assumptions. I'm going on the lowest end of everything. You're not making any overtime, nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a budget, or has the budget always been going towards paying off the family's debts, doing all this stuff? What can we do right now to make those changes in life?
Also, we did a podcast on this completely. I'm not really sure what the number is, but I'll give you the breakdown of it. Can you ask for a raise? Can you move your position? I know you said you work in a factory. Is there another factory you can transfer to? Maybe to try and get more competitive pay. Can we get better benefits? Right? The hours are, I know you're working a lot because you need more money, right? But you're not going to be able to work if your health declines.
Mm-hmm.
And your mind and your body are taking a pretty big hit. I mean, for you to tell us about it means it's very serious, or you're just the most honest person I've ever met. That worries me. A lot, because we have a person here that is looking for a miracle. She's looking just to drop it all. I'm done. I'm gone. Right? You see it all the time. It builds up, especially in corporate America. You're tired of getting the crap beat out of you. You're tired of being taken advantage of. All of a sudden, you know what? Screw it. I've reached and that's a dangerous place to be, because when you're at that point, you don't give a damn. And you know what? Screw it. Whatever. Take the taxes. I'll live on X amount of dollars. Take it. And that's a very dangerous place to be. So a better way to do it is, let's try to plan before the tipping point, before the body breaks, the mind breaks, your patience breaks. The guy comes in and he's like, we have layoffs. I'm going to have to, I got you maybe 3 or 4 days a week now. It's like, so we got to plan for these things before they happen. I agree with Chris. You don't want to take the money out and take that.
No, we don't.
That hard-earned money, given the taxes, that's stupid.
Especially, like, she's built that up over the last decade. I'm sure it's been diligent. Probably, whatever her match is, there's probably a small amount of money every month that's been building up. And that $30,000, this is due power of compounding. Let's say compounding at, I don't know, 7% per year. It would give her a low return. Well, she's 30 years old. At 40, that becomes $60,000. At 50, that becomes $120,000. At 60, that becomes $240,000. So are you willing to sacrifice having $22,000 right now, or $23,000 after taxes and penalties? Or would you rather have $240,000 when you're at 60 years old, traditional-ish retirement age? It's going to be even more if you wait till 65 or 70 or whatever age that you feel like. So one thing she did say is that she was helping paying off her family's medical debts and whatnot, and she was also paying off her own. So now that she's paid off her debts, all that money was going towards something before. It was going towards paying off debts, going towards paying off family debt. Can we now take that money that was going towards debts and now move it towards like a travel fund or a side hustle fund? Because it sounds like what you really need is a break.
Yeah.
So can we take that money and just like save it up for a month, like for 1 month, and then you could say like, hey, I need to take FMLA, I need to take family medical leave for 1 month, and just get that break, get that reset that you need to really like it. Is it going to be harder to go back to work after that month? Yeah, probably. No one likes going back to work. It's the same thing as summer school or going like, taking a summer. No one likes going back to school, but you go back and it's not as bad as you thought it was.
Yeah. See your
There are
friends
parts
again.
that you actually enjoy. So is that something we can do? I mean, in general, this is just general life advice. You don't like there's whenever there's a question of should I drain my future 401k, my future retirement to finance my presence, stop and do something else. You don't want to cash out your retirement for non-retirement things. Taking out your 401k in this instant is not the answer. The answer is how can I get control of my budget? Because what I fear is happening. She's making $4,000 a month. I don't know how much money was going towards paying off the debt and the family's medical debt. What it sounds like you really need to do is you need to have a hard conversation with your family and tell them, guys, like I can't keep on doing this for you. Because from your family standpoint, what do they have to? Why do they have to figuring out their finances? They have the hero in you. They know that you're going to go to work. You're going to work hard, and you're just going to pay off their debts. So what's going to be the thing that's enacting them to make a change? They know you're going to work for them. So it's going to be the hard choice right now. The hard choice is to have that conversation and tell them, guys, I can't keep doing this. You're going to have to be your own heroes now. You have to do this because I need to focus on me. I have to put my own oxygen mask on before I can put on yours. Because right now you're putting everyone else ahead of you. And that is commendable. That is so commendable. But at some point you are going to break. And when you break, where does that leave the rest of the family? Who is currently dependent on you to make it out? It's going to be much harder for them. At least right now, if you tell them they need to take responsibility for their own actions, you can still be there as their backstop. But if you run yourself ragged and you can't be their backstop anymore, now they fall into depths of despair that they can't get out of. Where you currently are right now, do you want that to be the rest of your family? I would think not. I think you'd love them more to have the tough conversation now to hopefully save them from themselves and also save yourself from them.
Spot on.
Yeah, it's a struggle. Like the painkillers thing scares the hell out of me. The working 10 to 14 hours a day, 7 days a week scares the hell out of me.
Yep.
The fact that like I know she's at that breaking point. Like you said, like she's just like, I don't care. I'll do anything. Just get me out of it. That's all that matters to me right now. Yeah. Might she get that and she'll feel good for a little while? Yeah. But then everything's going to come back to her with compound interest of it being a screw up. And unfortunately, most of the time when you take out your 401k, what most people do, they don't withhold taxes and they don't withhold the penalty. Because if you call your 401k company, you call your IRA, you say, I want to take all my money out right now, they're going to ask you, do you want to withhold taxes? Do you want to withhold the penalty? They're not going to do it for you unless you tell them to. Now you're going to get that $30,000. So what are you going to do? You're going to spend that $30,000. Then at the end of the year, you're going to owe $3,000 for the early penalty and you're going to owe the taxes. And now you're going to be in a way worse situation because right now your job, they're taking out taxes.
Yep.
Every month. You're not getting that full $4,000 check every month. You're getting a fraction of that that's already taken out taxes and everything that they estimate you're going to have to pay, because what the job doesn't want to do is set you up for failure, because they know if they give you all your money, majority of people are going to spend all their money. So they give you some of your money. I mean, that's part of adulting, right? You go and you work 40 hours a week. You're like, oh man, I know my hourly rate. You get that check and then you're like, whoa, what the hell just happened? You see all these line items, all these deductions. And that's just part of adulting. But it's the company trying to protect you from yourself. Because at the end of the day, there's only two things that are guaranteed in life, and that's death and taxes. So they're trying to protect you from you. Dom, do you have anything to leave this person? I mean, my big takeaway is don't take out the 401k. It sounds like what you really need is a break. And what we really need in order to get that break is we need to know how much money we're spending so we can start diverting the money from what we have been putting towards paying off the debt, paying off the family stuff, and see, like, if I know I spend $4,000 a month, if I have $4,000 in my account, I can take a month off. Obviously, that's not a great decision because if something goes wrong, it is what it is. But at least right now, it sounds like you're living paycheck to paycheck. Once you get that little bit of financial cushion, it actually gives you time to breathe and to get your head out of the muck and see, like, okay, I can work this out. But when you're in it all the time, you can't see anything but what's right in front of you.
Absolutely. she helped her family get out of the medical debt. She helped herself get out of the $10,000 in debt. I think if I was this person, I don't know if there's a father, if there's a mother, if there's a brother, if there's a sister, but I'm just gonna
There's a
assume
mother. She says it's her
there's
best
a
friend.
so yeah, there's a mother. So I'm just gonna assume there's a mother, there's a father, and there's a brother, right? And there's her, right? So 4 people. I don't know if they she didn't really say. Did she say if she lived with them or
I think she lives with her mom.
was with her? Okay,
Just
with her
just
mom.
just based off that, 'cause she said that she spends all of her time with her mom. So I'm gonna assume she lives with mom.
Okay, so I'll just use this example then. What I would do is like I obviously like get your finances, like see how much you make, see how much you spend, see what we can cut, see what we can't cut, right? The super basics, right? I would also do that for your mom as well, and see if. And this isn't it. This is just for me. This is my crazy brain. And Chris, knock it down if you think it's a bad idea. But I would really like, okay, as a team, as a household, how much do we make? You know, because on paper I might make 1,020 a week, or 4,000 4,000 some change a month, right? I might make 4,000 a month, right? Mom, I don't know if she has Social Security, if she has disability, I don't know if she has a pension. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there, but I would say, okay, if you're making say 3,000 a month, I'm making 4,000, right? Together as a house, we're making 7,000. Where is $7,000 going? I go to the grocery store. I buy food. I'm not spending 7,000. I have a car. It's not. It's worth less than 7,000, right? So where's this money going? Is it a house payment? Okay, it's a house payment, right? $2,000. Kind of high. 1,000's kind of high. Me, depending on where you're living, but okay, we have 5,000. Where's the 5,000 going? As a house, as a team, I think you've been the person, the guy. I know you're a woman, but you've been the guy, right? The woman taking care of the house, bringing home the bread, bringing home the money, really anchoring the house. But I think what a lot of people do when they are the breadwinner is they feel like the entire responsibility is shouldered on them. Family is there for a reason, right? They're supposed to be there for you. They're supposed to help you when you need help. They're supposed to, you're a team. You're a team. So it's like let's work as a team, see where all this money is going. Because these 14-hour days, not sustainable.
Yeah.
You're in your 20s, you're in your prime age to work 14-hour days. You're not going to be able to work 12, 14-hour days, 6 days a week in your 40s, your 50s, and your 60s, maybe in your 30s, but you're going to see rapid decline. I mean, you're already seeing decline now with your mental health and the painkillers and the back brace and all that stuff. Lean on your family. Now that they're out of debt, now that you're out of debt, let's stay there. Let's stay there. It's such a nice feeling to be out of debt.
Yeah. Something that you brought up that I just thought of, like when you're the provider, right? So I even with Dylan's dad, we talked about him working double jobs, right?
Yeah.
In her, she can go out and she can work as hard as she can to bring in $4,000 a month. And every month they're still in the red. So what does she say? She says, okay, the issue is that I'm not bringing enough money. I need to bring in more money. I need to work more hours. I need to work harder. F my back. I'll just pop more painkillers. It's fine. And I keep working. But if mom's at home, or even you're at home and you're spending $6,000, $7,000, it doesn't matter how hard you run if it's all falling out the back end.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, I think of like there's a boat and it's filling up with water and you're just trying to scoop as much as you possibly can. But until you plug that hole, which in this case is the spending, if you track your spending for a month, you'll get to see this is where the money is going. And then from there, that's why I'm so big on the conscious spending plan and spend tracking, not budgeting. I don't really care about budgeting. That's what I aspire to happen, but it never does happen. But if I track my spending, then at the end of the month, I can look back and I can audit and be 100% stared naked at my inadequacies and say, damn it, I spent a lot more money eating out than I should have.
Mm-hmm.
And I can make the decision. That was totally worth it. I love that. Or next time where I'm looking to go out and eat, I'm going to be like, you know what? Last month, I spent a lot on eating out. And I know that if I look at it at the end of this month, I'm going to be very disappointed in myself. And I'm making the hard decision right now to set future me up, because future me is the same person. It's still me. But too often do we say, F that person, they have to deal with it. Where if we learn to love that person, that they are us, So one thing that I've done is you write a letter to yourself in 30 years and like try to really envision yourself, who you are. And then also project yourself 30 years into the future and write a letter to yourself right now, either saying, thank you so much for all that you're doing. Write it. If you're financially not in a good spot, project yourself 30 years in the future. Go on Snapchat. Get that old face one that does it. Look at yourself. Say, this is me in 30 years. Look at the wrinkles. Look at the bag lines. Look at all that stuff. You're probably gonna look like me. Not looking great. But look at yourself in the future. And then go back 30 years, 20 years, 40 years and say, Dominic, thank you so much for all that you did starting today. You started saving money. You started working out. You started doing all these things. And now that you start to like that person, you start to know who that person is in the future, who is you, who again is you, you're going to start to try to work to set that person up for success. And that's ultimately going to set them up for success, but it's going to make your life right now so much better too. Because we can have fun. You can go out, you can party. That's the easy choice. Going out, partying, drinking, having all that fun. And does it feel good in the moment? Yeah, it feels good in that moment, but tomorrow's going to be a bitch. And you even know that like right now it probably doesn't feel all that great. It feels better being home with my family. That feels so much better. Spending time with my wife, that's so much better than going and drinking every night. But everyone's different. If you say that going out drinking every night is your thing, if you say going out spending all of your money is your thing and that brings you all the happiness in the world, I'm not the person to tell you not to do it. But I am saying that it's going to set you up for failure in the future. It's going to set you up for a harder life in the future. And you can choose. You can say, Chris, that's worth it. YOLO, I'm going to do it. Cool. You do you. I'm going to do me. And I'm not trying to be some things to all people. I'm trying to be all things to some people.
Yep.
And if you're part of the FI family, you want to be part of that, then that's great. Be part of the tribe here. If that's not you, that's cool. You can click off the video. You can leave a comment saying you guys are stupid, whatever. We can't fix that.
Yeah.
So with that, big hugs from Arizona. You got this. And again, it sounds like you just need that break. And I agree, you do need a break.
Yeah.
But please set yourself up before you take that break.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Best of luck from Arizona. We wish you all the well, all the health, all the wealth, all the wisdom, everything you need. Good luck.
Good luck.
With that being said, we're going to get on to Win of the Week. This is where we try and close out the podcast with a little bit more of a lighter side. Oftentimes with these viewer mailbags, they get a little bit heavy, right? Win of the Week is to show that, hey, we're ending on a positive, okay? I was just thinking, really. So, what's your win of the week? Cat got ran over. Never mind then. No, I don't have a cat, so my fictitious cat is still alive. Anyway, Aloysius lives on. Chris, you want to go with for your first win of the week?
Yeah, for sure. My win of the week this week is we just got back from Texas yesterday, so we went out there to visit my wife's best friend from college, who has moved out there. They recently had their first child. So Uncle Chris and Auntie Bryn got to go out there and meet him and got to have some fun, getting to know him and everything. So that was really, really fun. But while we were out there, I'm not a big lake person, not a big river person. I always grew up in the ocean. But in Texas, especially where they are, which is, middle of Texas, not like coastal Texas, there is no ocean. So they're very big into river and lakes. So we went wakeboarding for the first time in my life. I went wakeboarding. And it was a very good practice for me to deal with being so sucky at something.
Yeah.
And we went out there and one of the guys, he's been wakeboarding since he was, 5, 6 years old. I think his dad said he started wakeboarding when he was 4. So he goes out there first try. He's up in a second. He's jumping the wake. He's doing all this stuff. And I'm like, man, he makes it look so easy.
Yeah.
And I know the way that I learn, and it's my curse. I learn extremely slowly. I'm not a quick learner. I think I was very lucky. I was blessed with having a smart brain, but I was also blessed with it taking forever for me to figure things out. Like I'm just not good at it. And that's my curse. So I watch them go. And then I tell my wife, like, you should go before me because I know that I'm not going to be good at this. So she's like, oh no, it's because you think you're going to do well. I'm like, no, just please go. So she goes, it takes her like 3 tries and she's up and she's doing great.
Oh, I hate that. Oh,
and then
man.
I go and I'm just a failure. Like I can't stand up to save my life. I'm getting frustrated. I'm getting triggered, because now I'm thinking like, oh man, these people, they're on the boat. They're laughing at me. They're not, they think that I'm a loser, all this stuff. And this is all going on in my head. Of course they're not thinking that. This is because when I was growing up, like not in a good area, it all came down to if you tried, you're a loser. Like things should just come effortless to people, but it never does. Things aren't always effortless. Same thing with this finance stuff. That's why it took me a decade to finally be where I am right now. It's a lot of time. So it was just the greatest opportunity to practice not comparing myself to others and just comparing myself to myself. The first 2 tries when I was trying to compare myself to the guy who had been doing it since he was a kid, comparing myself to my wife who was able to get up after 3 times. My wife also only weighs like half my weight, so she was able to just, whoop, very
like,
easy.
Like, what does she weigh? Like 2 stacks of paper, like something like that.
Yeah,
like,
probably.
Yeah, something like that.
She was basically already floating before we even started moving. But
she
I'm a lot more
walked out under the water.
She walked out there.
Dude,
she's like a fly. But me, like
awesome.
It took me a lot more times. At the time that I finally said, like, I'm not trying to compare myself to them. I'm just trying to be here for me and get better.
Yeah.
It took a while, but I was finally able to stand up and actually go once I stopped comparing myself to me. So again, I'm not perfect at this. No one's perfect at this. It's a practice. Remember that the obstacle is the way. Like, don't compare yourself to other people. When you compare yourself to other people, comparison really is the thief of joy. Had I seen everyone else, had we all gone out there, we all sucked, I bet none of us would have felt bad. But since I was out there comparing myself to other people that knew what they were doing and just naturally picked it up very well, I did not have a good time at the beginning. But it was when I finally started saying, like, I'm not comparing myself to them. Am I staying up for a little bit longer? Am I doing just a little bit better? That's when I started having fun. And that's when I actually found success.
Yeah, you got to play your own game. You know? You got to play
your own game. It's the hardest thing.
It's so hard, the hardest thing. Right when it's right in your face, too. It's right in your face. And you just got to look at it and be like, dude, I'm not even playing your game. I'm in my own world right now. Like,
yep. And that's also, I think, where like you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you spend time with people that, if you're not doing well, who are dogging you, talking shit, like, oh, you're such a loser, you can't even stand up, watch me do this.
Yeah.
Get those people out of your life.
Toxic.
Like, you need to surround yourself with positivity.
Yes.
Again, everyone live your own life. I'm not here to tell you what to do or not do. If you say like, no, I love these people, I like being dogged because it makes me work harder. Yeah, I am those people. You keep doing you. If you bring people who are positive, who are sitting on the boat, even after you fail, like, hey, man, this is what I saw you do. Maybe try doing this, but you're doing a really great job.
Yeah.
Those are the people you want to surround yourself with, because at the end, that's what's going to lead you to success. If everyone was on the boat saying, Chris, you suck, just stay down, I would have never been able to stand up.
They drive off.
Yeah. Just drive
Chris,
off the boat.
Last try. If you don't get it, we're leaving. It's 20 miles out. Like, whoa.
Good luck.
Good luck.
So that's my win of the week, was getting to be a novice, and same thing I tell my jiu-jitsu people. We're all novices at this. Just some of us have been doing it for a little bit longer.
Yeah, because like you can be the best person in your I don't know if you call it a dojo. I just wanted I just wanted to use the word dojo. If you're the best person in your dojo, you could be walking real high, right? But then you have like a grandmaster come again. I don't know the lingo, but you have a grandmaster come in, and he's just like schooling everybody. You feel you just got knocked down a peg, right? So it's all about, like we talked about earlier in the podcast, it's all about how you frame it.
Matters of perspective. Matters of perspective.
So quick questions on the wakeboards. Was it like a flat board, or did it have the boots on it?
It had the boots on it. Like you're locked in it.
Dude, I had the same. Okay, we're gonna throw back. This is probably like 12 years ago, maybe 13 years ago. My best friend, he had a boat, right? Not him, but his dad. 13-year-olds should have known boats. And we went out to this giant lake, and I'm already self-conscious, right? Because I'm everybody in there is like super skinny, right? I'm a chunkier. I usually ride a little bit chunkier, right? Not to mention, I am the pasty prince. Okay, I am very white. And if you think there's privileges to being white, there probably is. Yes. But let me tell you, I get white shamed a lot. It was really weird. It's like some reverse racism stuff, from my own family. Very bizarre. Because if you looked at a family portrait, half my family is Mexican, right? You know how they have like those family reunions with like the Mexicans, like there's always one white guy in there. Yeah, that's me. Yeah. I'm the white guy. I am, I'm very white. So we got out there. I'm a great swimmer. I'm a good swimmer, right? But they only had the boards, right? So it's basically like there's no boots. I could not get it for the life of. 20 minutes out there, 30. I couldn't get nothing. Well, I'm done with this. I'm 30% friggin' salt water now. I'm getting in. I'm not doing this. So yeah, it was not a fun day for me, but I'm glad you had a good day though. I'm glad it turned out It'd be good.
It took time, but first it was that mental reframe, right? Of like, I have to stop comparing myself to other people. I just need to have fun. And it's a practice. And I'm never going to be good at it because I know it triggers me. And that's my childhood issues that I got to deal with. But once you start to realize that I'm telling myself a story. The story I'm telling myself is that I'm a loser because I'm not picking up. But rather than I reframed it to, I'm not good at things. I don't pick up things quickly. I know that about myself. That's my curse. But I do know that I will outwork anyone. And I will keep on trying and look like a fool over and over and over again until eventually I'm better than you at it.
Yeah, bingo. So with my win of the week, we did our so last Friday we had a live stream as I do. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I always have a live stream on my gaming channel, play games and whatnot. I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it, man. There wasn't a ton of people in the stream. And I was like, you know what, guys, I'm getting kind of hungry. I'm like, would you guys mind if we ended stream and restarted it specifically only on Twitch, and we just did like a IRL stream to in real life stream? And they're like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, okay, cool. We're gonna make a pizza, and we're gonna make a lemon pound cake. So I set my phone up, set my camera up, got the microphones, the lavaliers and stuff. And we had a great stream. It was wonderful. There's plenty of people there, and I ended up learning how to make pizza dough. It's one of the things I've been wanting to learn for a while. And it was really cool. You know, I got all the ingredients together. I learned how to do it. I learned how to knead, and it was a really fun experience. We ended up making the pizza. I ended up making the pound cake. It was really yummy. The pizza, I learned that I was cooking the pizza at normally I was going like 350. ChatGPT was like, run it at 475. And I'm like, that's hot. Yeah. Hey. And then it was like, put your pan in first to let it heat up. And you know me, like, I'm going to fail the first like 100 times. I pull the pan out and I like get the pizza on there. I immediately like rip the pizza on accident. So now I have to like roll it out again and like flatten it. The pan got cold.
Reheat the pan.
Yeah, it was not great. It was not great. The pizza, the sausages was good. The cheese was good. The sauce was good. The dough was pretty good. I burnt it. I burnt it a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to you.
You know, this has nothing to do with finance, but a really good way to make pizza is on the grill. On your grill outside. You just close the lid, you get it really nice and hot, and you just throw the dough on top of there, and then you flatten it out over the little grates.
That's
the way that we make pizza. Yep, on the grates. You just do it straight on the grates. So what I do is before I start heating it up, I'll spray it with like Pam or something, or like you can even like douse it with oil, and like with a brush.
Yeah,
and you put it right onto the grates. Don't put a pan on top of the grill. It works really, really well because you can close the lid, and then it becomes an oven itself. So give it a try. It works really well.
We used to do pizza dough. I could run that up. Hold on.
Yeah, give it a try and let us know.
Through the like it doesn't fall through the grates?
No, because there's enough surface area as that it's over that it's just fine.
My man.
Give it a try.
My
grates are thicker, so give it a try. And so now you're doing Twitch streams, so everyone feel free to subscribe to Dominic James OnlyFans.
Get out of here with that. Get out of here with that. He only pans where we only cook pizzas. Yeah, go follow me on Twitch, Dominic James. You'll see my beautiful face. Yeah, that's my win of the week. I got to learn how to make pizza. First IRL stream in the house. Yeah, it was good. It was good. It was good. Didn't make as much dough as I hoped, but it was still really good. Really fun.
It's okay. Things to do. All right, guys. So thank you so much for joining us here for another exciting episode of 5 Friday Feedback. Please be sure to come back next week. For Monday, we are going to have the mid-year financial checkup, everything that you're going to need to make sure that you set yourself up for the rest of the year. Maybe you're someone who started off the year strong. You're like, January 2024 is going to be my year, and you fell off. We're going to get you right back up on that horse. It's okay no matter where you're at. We got you covered. So stick around. If you found value today, please, if you're still here, you haven't hit that subscribe button. What are we doing? Smash that subscribe button, leave a comment, do whatever you can for the algorithm. But most importantly, if you enjoyed the podcast, please tell a friend about the Fi Guys, because it's so much more fun if you go on this with a journey, or go on this journey with a friend, much like Dominic and I are doing. You never, just like the thing with the wakeboarding, you never actually reach the destination. It's a practice of always getting better every day. And doing that with a friend is going to be so much better for you. But until then, we will see you around. Have a great weekend. Later.
Later, guys.
This video podcast is sponsored by Monzon Wealth. The content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. We do not endorse specific products or services. Past performance does not guarantee future results. The opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests. not the podcast sponsor.
It is crucial to consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional who can provide advice tailored to your specific needs before making any financial decisions, investments, or taking any other actions. If you are seeking specified help, you can reach out to Chris at monzonwealth.com.